Okay, today we're going to be seeing how close you can get to a drop of a neutron star. What would happen if you had just a very tiny drop of a neutron star and brought it on Earth? So I have a cube here just at normal Earth density. Put it on there. It weighs around only 5 grams. So now this is getting really heavy for the size of it. Whoa. Holy cow. Oh, broke my thing. Broke through my jar, it got so heavy. Holy cow. So you can see it's extremely heavy now for the size of it. Barely pick it up. Ugh. Ugh. So I would say this weighs around 1 pound now. Okay, I'm increasing the density. I can't even hold it anymore. Oh, it went through the table. Whoa, it just shot through the earth. So right now it's basically vaporizing the mantle in front of it and leaving a trail of hot plasma behind it. In a while, as it falls, it'll eventually just become lodged in the Earth's core. So let's try this again with a holder that will actually stop it from falling through the table and through the Earth. Okay, now let's redo this experiment with a magic stand that can support the weight of the 100 billion kilograms in that tiny little centimeter cube there. Now, because this is so dense, it has its own gravity force that I can feel. And what this feels like to me is that when I start to walk closer to it, it kind of feels like I'm starting to walk down a steep downhill because the gravity is pulling me towards the neutron star instead of straight down towards the Earth. So I kind of feel like I'm walking down a hill. So even just sitting next to it on a table, it's like gravity is pointing that way towards the drop of the neutron star instead of straight down towards the Earth. Whoa. Okay, now because gravity is proportional to the square of distance, it becomes increasingly hard to pull away from the neutron star drop the closer you get to it. So if you get closer than a critical distance, then you won't be able to get away from it, ever. So that means that if I want to touch this neutron star drop, I'm going to need another plan. And that plan has to do with water. Okay, so I managed to get some water around this. And if I didn't have this box around it, it would look like this. It would be a complete sphere around it with the drop at the very center, because gravity is now pulling it all towards the center. Now normally the point of no return with a drop this size of a neutron star is around 8 inches. Around 8 inches away, your arm would become too heavy to ever pull back, and then it would just get sucked in and probably get ripped off, and it would pull your whole body in and you'd compress down into the neutron star. But if you put water around it, something interesting happens. So let's see if this orange gets sucked in. Huh. It just floats. So at this range, it's hundreds of times of Earth's gravity, but it's floating on top here. So that means that buoyancy has nothing to do with the strength of gravity. And the reason it works like this is because the neutron star drop is pulling on the water just as much as it's pulling on the orange. But it pulls on the water a little more because the water's a little more dense. So the orange still floats on top of the water. So this means on different planets, whether it had stronger or weaker gravity than Earth, both would still be able to float just fine. They'd have the same buoyancy as on Earth, because buoyancy is independent of the gravitational factor. So that means my hand should be okay because my hand is less dense than water, so my hand will never get pulled towards the neutron star stronger than water. So as long as I keep it in water, I should be able to get to as close to it as I can. But what happens when I get close to it is it's like there's this impenetrable layer I can't get past because my fingers are less dense than water. Basically, I can't penetrate this layer of water because the neutron star is pulling down on the water no matter what, harder than it's pulling down on my finger. And so no matter what, I can't get through the layer of water around the ball. So even in this situation, even when you have water around it, you're protected from the gravity, but that means that you're going to end up with a very small layer that you can't penetrate with your finger as long as you're less dense than water. Now, if you put some alcohol in this water and you actually became more dense than the water, then it would suck your finger in and you wouldn't be able to pull it off. So no matter what, even in this situation, you wouldn't be able to touch a neutron star. You could get very close if you surrounded it with water, but you could never actually touch it.